This was really said by a Stoic philosopher, and this is the two worst things that you can do. The two worst things, you should never do these things. It is the worst of the worst. And this is actually said by Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, the slave turned Stoic. And, you know, if you need any credibility of, should we listen to Epictetus? Marcus Aurelius, the last great emperor of Rome, was like Epictetus's biggest fan. He loved Epictetus and he learned a lot from him. He admired him and looked up to him. Epictetus was an incredible figure in history. But anyway, Epictetus says there are the two worst things that you could do. So before I get into it, I want you to just think about this, leave a comment, pause it if you want. What are the two worst things? Just comment that, the two worst things a person can do. What do you think they are? And I'll give you a little bit of time, just in case you don't want a little spoiler. Now I'm going to read what Epictetus says are the two worst things and explain it a little bit. Because it is very helpful. It leads to a very short mantra that has followed me in life and helped me be a better person, get through difficulties, do great things. And it's just because of this short mantra that comes from what we might see as a negative. And I think after you watch this video, this mantra will stick with you forever. It doesn't go away. It sticks to you like glue. And it's just always there. I'm trying not to say it because it's on the tip of my tongue. It's very powerful. Right. Epictetus would say that there were two vices. Of course, Epictetus didn't write this. He used to say this, and his student, Arrian of Nicomedia, who is a famous historian, he wrote down this. So we're talking about Epictetus, but they were the words of Epictetus. Epictetus would say that there were two vices, much blacker and more serious than the rest: lack of persistence and lack of self-control. The former means we cannot bear or endure hardship that we have to endure. The latter means we cannot resist pleasures or other things we ought to resist. Two words, he says, should be committed to memory and obeyed by alternately exhorting and restraining ourselves. Words that will ensure we lead a mainly blameless and untroubled life. These two words, he says, were persist and resist. Persist and resist. So did you get that right? The two worst things were lack of persistence and lack of self-control. Now, if you asked me many years ago what were the two worst things, I would have come up with many different ideas. Not lack of persistence and lack of self-control. But it's the root cause. And, it leads to this incredible mantra that he says will help you live an untroubled life. Persist and resist. And I think right now, this mantra is what everyone needs. He was saying it thousands of years ago to people that, didn't have all the temptations we have. The temptations to become weak and insulated in this day and age, mind-blowing. They couldn't have even predicted what we go through in a day on what they go through in their lifetime. We're given so much temptation in one day. And I know you think, how can you compare me going on my phone to them living these difficult lives? He was a slave and he turned philosopher. I'm not saying our lives are harder. I'm just saying the temptation. When you listen to neuroscientists talk about the effects of dopamine on our brain, and that the fact that the dopamine received from just a reel, scrolling on these reels, is comparable to what we would have achieved from going on a hunt or pursuing a relationship or pursuing survival or addiction like alcohol and drugs. And we're just exposed to this all day. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's just hitting our dopamine receptors and just really crushing us. And what this does, it insulates our lives. We become so well insulated in these soft nice, cozy lives, that, we're always warm. Metaphorically, we're always warm and cozy. And then if we ever have to brave out into the cold, even if it's just slightly chilly, it seems like this such a difficult task. It's so painful, it's unbearable, it's horrible. But if you was exposed to the cold daily and then you got into the cold, you're like, yeah, that's fine. Do it every day. So we need this mantra. We need this persistence. We need this self-control. Because Epictetus is saying we lack persistence. Back then, you give up, you can't endure these difficulties. And we also lack self-control. When we're offered certain luxuries in life, certain desires, we take, and then it destroys us. We can have things in moderation, as Stoic virtue, moderation, temperance, very important. But now, our lack of persistence is crippling the majority of us. Our lack of self-control is destroying us. And it's making us into lesser versions of ourselves, the great people we can be. And it's not about, I say the great people we can be, it's not about becoming this great person. It's not about getting to this great person that you could be, your potential. We are that great person. We just forget it. So it's not about becoming, it's about remembering who we are. But with all these distractions, all these weaknesses, all this insulation that we have around us, we forget who we are. We forget how resilient we can be. We forget how strong we are, how creative we are, how incredible we are, how capable we are. So we need this mantra: persist and resist. Persist. When you're going through difficulties, you persist. When you go to the gym and you have your workout, you've got that 30-minute run. You persist. You know you can make it through. Now, if it's too intense, it's too difficult, just lower it down a bit. Persist through that plan you had. Tell your brain that when I set a goal, I can do it. But when you just stop, your lack of persistence, you give up, you tell your brain, I'm not worthy of this. And then you say, you have this goal of starting your art, and you don't persist through it. You tell yourself, I'm not worthy of this. And this lack of persistence is a lack of self-love, because all these things that we're working through, this persistence is helping us to get in the right direction. It is self-love. It is helping us get to where we can go. It is helping us to become the person we are, to remember who we are, that we're worthy of being healthy. We're worthy of expressing ourselves creatively. We're worthy of having these endeavors, having these journeys that are only living in our mind because we lack the persistence to actually achieve them. But if you love yourself truly, then you will persist. And you have to keep reminding yourself, I will persist. But then to resist this lack of self-control that we have, this comes, lack of resistance is again lack of self-love. Because just look at your screen time. Look at your screen time. Someone you love, your child, your brother, your sister, your parent, your friend, your grandparent, someone at work, whatever, this person, your partner, this person you love, would you subject them to a life of scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, doom scrolling TikTok, to a life of going in the direction of their bad habits, of their vices? Would you subject them to this? Would you say, I love you so much, I'm going to make you just keep eating rubbish snacks, I'm going to make you live a sedentary life? No, you love them so much that you will push them. You'll hope that they have the persistence to do the things necessary to help them develop their character and become the great person that they are. And this is what we have to show ourselves, that we're worthy of resisting these feeble, weak temptations. These, as the Stoics call it, it's just smoke, blinding us from being able to see what the clear truth of who we are, that we deserve to have the things that we're capable of. You're capable of becoming the person you are, that great person you know you are, the person you want to express to the world. When you sit there, you're like, I want to become this healthy person. but I keep falling for these traps. You need to persist and resist, and to remind yourself of this. And it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail, especially if you've lived this life where you're doom scrolling 6 hours a day. If the next week you're doom scrolling 5.5 hours a day, that's progress. Then half a year later, you're doom scrolling for an hour a day. That is incredible progress. It's not a failure. Progress is not a failure. And I'm not saying you can't go on your phone. I go on my phone. It's right here. But I'm just saying you need to persist and resist. And remember this, persist and resist. And that's all you need to say to yourself. Because this, as Epictetus says, if you can live by this mantra, you'll live an untroubled life. You'll persist through the difficulties and you'll resist the evil. And it all comes back to the choice of Hercules when it comes to resistance. It is offered by Arete, the goddess of virtue, and Kakia, the goddess of vice. It was offered the lives. Kakia says that you can live this great life, you're a great hero, you can have anything you want, any desire, you get it. Because you're a great Hercules, you can have it all. You can live this easy life. And then virtue, Arete, she says, I'm going to be honest, it's going to be difficult. You're going to have to go through the labors. It's going to be a challenging, tough task. But this is how you become the Hercules you know you are. What path did he take? He chose the labors. He became the great hero. And you're on that path. You're on that path. And just keep going down the right path. Persist and resist. Persist and resist. Every single day you follow this, it's a step in the right direction. And it's just varying little nudges every day, and you will become unrecognizable in a not so distant future. If you go the other way, you can just go down and down and down and down. It's just little steps daily go great distance. And that's it. That's all we have for today. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening. And just if I can just ask some of you for help. I know a lot of you have read my book, The Everyday Stoic, and I've received many great reviews. But if you just want to help me out personally, if you can go over to Goodreads or Amazon, if you can go to Audible, wherever it is that you like to go, or wherever you got the book from, if you can just leave an honest review, your honest review, doesn't have to be good, whatever it is. I assume it will be good, but maybe you don't have good thoughts on the book. I just want to hear the honest feedback of the book, and it helps the potential reader or the potential listener to know what they're getting into. Because if you're explaining the type of book it is, what you liked about the book, what you disliked about the book, it gives them a chance to read it and go, oh, that sounds like a book I won't like. That sounds like a book I will like. And it helps them benefit from it. Just be honest. I can take criticism. Yeah, I can take criticism. But thank you for listening. And I personally just like reading reviews. I've had some of the most amazing reviews. You know, people saying they got it from their partner, got it then when I was in a difficult time and it helped them through this difficult time. People saying, I've tried to learn Stoicism, I don't get Stoicism, I've read everything. Then I read this book, read The Everyday Stoic, and I get it, I get Stoicism. Some people saying it's a masterpiece, pretty cool. Someone said it's okay, which is probably the worst review because it's not like up or down, it's just like, okay. Someone said that. But yeah. Anyway, have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening or watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.